Varka, I'm going to start it off with you first. We've had you on during the Shraddha Walkar coverage as well. It's difficult not to be reminded of that, an apparently totally normal scene, a relationship, a man committing a horrific crime, shoving the body of a woman into a fridge, and then carrying on totally normally. What did you think when you first heard about this?
I just believe that there are psychopaths all over the place, and I do believe that somewhere around what is happening in the recent past is, if you see the age group of people committing these kind of heinous acts and feeling absolutely remorseless, maybe a tendency of us as parents bringing up, particularly sometimes more boys than girls, with complete no consequences to their behavior. So they are literally getting away with murder. And their ability to tolerate frustration, especially rejection from the girls that they date, because they have very strange ideas of love and being loved, okay? And they're not able to withstand the rejection that someone says, no, I don't want to marry you, or I don't want to be with you, and possibly never experiencing a no in their families, in their homes, never having faced consequences for anything that, they've done, which is a wrong, so to speak. They possibly just believe that they are entitled, that they have to get their way. And it's a very sorry state, because society at large, particularly Indian society, is getting away with pretty much everything. There is no penalty, there are no consequences. And I think we are in an anarchy, a social ecosystem which is now getting into aggressive, demonstrative, and they believe, unfortunately, that they can get away. And they are getting away. And that's why I think a large part of us have to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, how are we bringing up our children? Why are we allowing them to face no deprivation? Why are we allowing them to get away with anything and everything? Why are there no consequences to bad behavior? Why are we not teaching frustration tolerance? I think as a society, today it's time for us to pause, because today it's murder number 2. But I don't believe that it's going to stop here. I think it's going to get worse. And it's time for us as a collective whole, as a society at large, to really start taking cognizance of penalties that we put in place and see that those penalties are actually accrued to the person who commits crime, and of course to our parenting styles.
And obviously it may not be just 2, because, I have to say this, the media tends to focus on cases like these because they happen in the big cities. There must be cases of this kind happening elsewhere in the country as well that, evades the big media's eye. I will be honest when I say that. Flora, I don't want to ask any leading questions, because I genuinely want to know what all of you think about this case. Coming as it does so soon after the Shraddha Walkar murder. Flora, thoughts about this particular crime?
I don't know, it feels, leaves me absolutely numb, because we just had Shraddha's case. And that was so, people were shocked throughout the country. So to see an exact copy of that, and so soon, it's like, I don't know what's wrong with people. And, if I could tell people, please, you have to, when you are in a relationship, and especially a live-in relationship, you're so close to your partner. There's so many telltale signs of, the red flags that you get. And I'm sure this was, this was the final. I'm sure there would be some history of some sort of violence that would have taken place in those 5 years, because you don't just get that strength of killing someone you loved and dated for 5 years. Don't. It has to be, it's a build-up, that finally, so there has to be some sort of a history of abuse, which we know, I guess, a little later. But if I could tell all the girls out there, please be very careful, whoever you date, the minute you see the red flags, don't try and change, don't try and stick around that you will be able to change your partner or things will, get better. You get life only once. If it's not working out, if you're not happy, if your partner is in any way toxic or abusive, get out of there. You have only one life, and trust me, good love exists. It'll find you when the time is right, when your time to find that good love is, comes up.
And I'm glad you said that, Flora, because that was going to be my next question to you about those danger signs in relationships. Those danger signs appeared to have existed in the Shraddha Walkar murder for sure, with everything that we've heard from that case. In the days ahead, perhaps we'll hear something of a similar nature about the relationship between Sahil and Nikki as well. One wonders what we'll hear. But Trisha, bringing you in on this, the parallels between the two cases are startling. I have to say that obviously each case is separate, but there's a sense of alarm. There's a sense of alarm when one looks at both these cases and looks at a man who sort of carries on with his, with his work, his day-to-day job. He got married just a couple of days after committing this murder.
I think we have to talk about the air of desensitization and dehumanization, right? It's easy to talk about violence when it's not within intimate settings. But the truth in India is over 97% of cases of violence is actually within intimate settings. And in these situations, there is unfortunately the additional layer of trauma, of shame that's put on survivors. So there is a sense of alienization where they don't know whom to reach out to, because you're essentially saying that the person abusing you is a person within your own home. The person that you trusted to spend maybe your life with is the person that's abusing you. So whom do you reach out to? Do you tell your family? And when you reach out to your family, often they don't know how to address it. Also, when you reach out to the police station, there's a sense of ghar ki baat ghar pe rakho. There's a hesitation because you also don't know how do you want to see your intimate partner in jail? So in these sort of situations, often what we find is survivors have gone through multiple abuses where they've reached a point of just complete dehumanization, and they don't know whom to reach out to. There's also severe mental trauma, and critically also we have to account for financial independence and stability. That becomes a huge factor, right? When you're sharing a home with person, your finances are intertwined. So you can't just pack up your bags and leave because you have to worry about finances. And then if there's a child in the equation, that's another factor. So this is a multi-level factor. And then, of course, when you talk about such violent cases, you are right that these violent cases come to light, but there are so many instances of abuse happening within homes that are just going unaddressed.
Absolutely, absolutely.